Upgrades pumped up the volume.
Unbearable. You can't carry on a conversation very well.
First Alert 4 checks the noise, leaving neighbors at their wits' end, and asks how engineers plan to fix it. Hurtling off the road and right into a home.
Who knows how fast they were going, but it had to be incredibly fast.
The storied history of reckless driving that's creating a push to potentially save lives. Flash floods catch many by surprise, but seemingly a repeat of a growing issue. First Alert 4 investigates the instruments that could provide a solution.
Hopefully going forward we can get this resolved.
Live, First Alert 4 starts now.
Tonight at 6, we start with Drone 4, a live look serving as our eyes in the sky. From above, this seems like a quiet neighborhood. However, residents tell us constant noise is plaguing the area because of road upgrades. Thanks for being here. I'm Cory Stark. This is First Alert 4 at 6. I'm standing in West St. Louis County, actually in a family's neighborhood. As you can see me, I'm eye level with I-270 right behind me. Let me give you a better idea exactly where I am. This is between Maryland Heights and Creve Coeur on Orchard Lakes Drive. Residents here say that the constant source of noise comes from upgrades to 270 years ago, which has seen increased traffic. Well, now these residents that live in this West St. Louis County neighborhood, they want MoDOT to do something to make their streets quieter again. Our Russell Kinsaw has been working on this story throughout the day. Russell, what have you been able to find out?
Well, residents have hit a stone wall in their efforts to get a sound wall. Whenever they're outside talking to their neighbors, they say they have to elevate their voices to be heard clearly. Midday today, we did a decibel reading. I got over 70 decibels, but still MoDOT says they are not eligible for a sound wall.
So I am very concerned about the noise level.
Lois Arcanati has lived in the Orchard Lake subdivision since 1976. The subdivision borders I-270 north of Ollie Boulevard. A number of homes back up against the interstate, but the entire subdivision says the highway noise has become unbearable. David Clark is the Homeowners Association president.
A complaint from residents has been, what is the HOA going to do about the noise from the highway?
More than 600 have signed a petition calling on MoDOT to install sound walls, complaining the noise level often exceeds unsafe levels.
You cannot hear a conversation in my backyard, and I'm just a couple of houses up from here.
Communities are eligible for a MoDOT sound wall when decibel levels exceed 66. In the middle of the day, when traffic is lighter, we recorded decibel levels above 70. That's compared to a neighborhood near Fifi Road and Ross Avenue with sound walls where decibel levels were in the low 60s and sometimes in the 50s. MoDOT says it only installs sound walls during a highway expansion project.
We feel like we've just been neglected.
Residents claim when the flyover ramp was added to Page Avenue in 2009, they were led to believe they would get a sound wall.
They promised a sound wall if we qualified, and I believe we qualified, as you can hear, and no sound wall.
In a statement, District Engineer Tom Blair said, of those projects done in the area over the past 20 years, only the construction of the flyover ramp from northbound I-270 to westbound Missouri 364 triggered a noise study. This was completed in 2009, and at the time, only one wall to the northwest of the interchange met all of the requirements in the policy to build a sound barrier. Residents are continuing to request documents from MoDOT from back in 2009, hoping to find proof that they were deemed eligible back then. The next step for them, Cory, might be a lawsuit.
We know that road projects are constantly happening across the bi-state. For families that might live near one of these projects, what do they need to know? If
there's a highway expansion near where you live, I-55, I-70, be informed, ask questions, ask are they doing a sound study, and ask for those results to find out if your neighborhood is eligible for a sound wall. We'll have to see how this whole situation plays out. All right, Russell, thank you. Well, the road issues go beyond West St. Louis County tonight. Let's take you to Kirkwood, where a driver slammed into this home, rendering it nearly unrecognizable. This happened on Doherty Ferry near Manchester and Geyer Road. That is right across the street from Kirkwood High School. First Alert 4 Shoshana Stahl spoke to neighbors along with safety advocates who say more needs to be done about this troubled road.
Doesn't look like it, but it's a huge curve.
For 40 years, Greg Ganshaw has lived at the start of the curve on Doherty Ferry in Kirkwood, right by the high school. He says there have been a handful of accidents outside his home.
So people come into the curve pretty hot. I think 15 or 20 is about right for there, but they're hitting 45. 50.
Early Sunday morning, a driver went off-road, crashing into a home while the owners were asleep in their bed. Ganshaw says, unfortunately, 5 years ago, he experienced something similar, but not to this extreme.
We were sitting having dinner, and it was just boom, really shook the house. So I came in here, and here was the front of this car sticking through the door. The door popped, and the car came in.
And you could see where that car traveled off of the road down here, hitting parts of the grass. And then to my left, you could see that it hit a sign, taking that down before traveling across this lawn where you could still see the path it took, then hitting that white house.
The foundation of the house has a huge crack in it from where the car struck the house. And it almost struck it on an angle instead of right on. Who knows how fast they were going, but it had to be incredibly fast.
You can see pieces of the home still on the ground and car debris throughout the lawn.
I think everybody's fortunate that nobody was killed.
Michael Carmody with Safer Streets for Kirkwood says this could have been prevented.
That wasn't there 3 weeks ago. This brand new telephone pole over here wasn't there 4 weeks ago. So I think it's telling in just this small period. This is a common, repetitive problem.
Carmody says each day, thousands of people drive down Doherty Ferry, and a speed study shows a majority of them are going faster than the 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. He wants to see the lanes reduced, bump outs added, lighting to make the curve more visible, or even
if they would have a high-speed guardrail, instead of going into a house, a vehicle will bounce back into the street.
Ganshaw took matters into his own hands, adding a rock to his front lawn to act as a barrier. But he wants to see the city also make changes.
A flashing light down about a quarter of a mile with the camera shooting the picture. Slow down, and people slow down when they see a camera.
Safer Streets for Kirkwood is asking the city to hold a public meeting with the neighbors to talk about safety upgrades on the road. We reached out to the city, but didn't hear back. In Kirkwood, Shoshana Stahl, First Alert 4.
And we are learning that Safer Streets for Kirkwood wants to have that public safety meeting within the next month to hopefully prevent any future accidents. Now, coming up in the next 10 minutes, over the last 24 hours, we've seen the weather really play a factor out on the roads, and we've seen some of the systems that we rely on be really taxed by the rain. We're going to dig more into that issue when we see you a little bit later on here at 6. Morgan, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Cory, we'll see you back here in just a bit. Thank you. Well, speaking of the weather, let's take a look at the Arch tonight. There's been plenty of heat to go around, but there's also been a chance for a pop-up shower or storm. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. Steve.
Those are going to be few and far between for this evening. Most of us are going to say dry and hot. Tomorrow's our better chance for rain. I'll show you that coming up. Right now, we're at 90. We hit a high of 93 today. It's 88 in Baldwin, though, 93 out in Union. And, yeah, it's humid out there, so it feels like 95 in St. Louis, 100 in Belleville, and in Washington, Missouri right now. The humidity is very excessive, so it's a hot, humid one, and we are dry. So watch it for a little pop-up. I saw one trying to get going down there in southern St. Francis, St. Genevieve County, but most of us stay dry. Most of the storms are going to be out here into central, northwestern Missouri off to our west, but that front is going to come our way. It's kind of a weak front, but it'll still bring us a chance for some showers and storms tomorrow. So we'll get the Cardinals game in. Your evening plans will be fine. First pitch around 90, dropping to 84 degrees. It is going to be hot and humid, but there's actually more heat in my forecast eventually. In the extended forecast, I'll show you when highs get into the mid-90s, heat index over 100 coming up.
All right, Steve, thank you. New at 6, residents in Bethalto have shown first alert for discolored water pouring from taps across the small village in southern Illinois. Tonight, residents are preparing to attend a public works meeting to get clarity on the city's plan to fix this issue. First alert 4's Avery Martinez is in Bethalto tonight before this meeting gets underway. Avery.
Yes, that's correct. And on top of the meeting tonight, the residents here say they've seen that water coming out of their shower heads, out of taps, even in their laundry. It's even dyed clothes in some cases. And they're worried about their pets' health, their own health, and even just bathing in that water. The city has spoken to us and does say that those water faucets have met some of the different EPA guidelines. But you can hear for yourself what these residents have to say about the water that they've seen in their own backyard.
They're telling us, hey, it's safe to drink, it's safe to take a bath, it's just discolored. But why is it discolored?
It's definitely a health concern.
The water testing, I would say, is the most extreme concern of mine.
I just want to hopefully get this resolved.
In a half an hour behind us here at this meeting house, we're going to have a public meeting where a lot of residents are hoping they'll get some clarity about what's going forward with that water. And just before we came on air here, there was actually a couple of people coming through, and it may not be the concern of the whole community, but it's certainly a concern for most of it. We plan to ask some questions about what plans may go forward from here, what may happen in the next couple of years to better fix this issue that some residents say has been happening for decades, but only recently has a large majority come out to speak about these topics. For First Alert 4 in Bethalto, I'm Avery Martinez.
Answers we'll certainly hope to have tonight at 10. Thank you, Avery. For many in the metro, the new school year begins this week. In St. Charles County, county leaders are working to up the safety for students and staff in an emergency. At tonight's county council meeting, an ordinance will be voted on to allow school districts to submit blueprints of their school buildings to the county's emergency communications department. That way, 911 dispatchers can access the maps in their computer system, relaying information about the building layout to respond police, fire, or EMS. With some high schools in the county pushing 400,000 square feet and multiple floors, first responders say the heads up will save precious time in an emergency.
And hopefully that it never really has to be used in a tragic situation, but if it is, we'll have it and we won't necessarily have to regret not having it.
Francis Howell, Wentzville, and City of St. Charles schools say they plan to share their maps with the department. We are still waiting to hear back from other districts. Well, as we get closer to the new school year, tonight Six Flags St. Louis is bringing back its back to school drive. The park teaming up with Kid Smarts of St. Louis to help students and teachers for the upcoming school year. Here's how it works. Guests who bring 5 new and unopened school supplies at the park will be able to purchase a one-day ticket for $20. Now, if you want to take part in the drive, it's going on now until this Wednesday, August 13th.
Well, some dry time right now, but that front's going to help bring us a chance for some showers and storms tomorrow. I'll map out the timing on that, plus the timing on when big heat returns.
Coming up next, hours of rain taxing city systems. We dig into what can be done to curb future flooding as heavy rainfall becomes more frequent.